Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Sorry I'm late. My computer showed me a different time than what was really here. And I'm still getting used to this whole new platform here. I actually just went through the webinar for 10 minutes and I didn't have any questions and I just completed. So not sure if you guys were actually on there for this whole 10 minutes. So I'm just going to repeat myself here for what we did on the webinar. So basically, today we are working with the Shaman's Wand. Now, the Shaman's Wand is one of our newer tools, a really profound tool here at Twisted Sage Studios. It has the regeneration and as the main portion, and then it has a golden fire infinity. Now, a lot of people use these in a passive sense. So for me, I'll actually just clip this onto my belt loop, bag, wherever. Some people wear it as a necklace. When you wear it as a necklace, it's great because the infinity connects into the heart, as all the infinities do, and it's the golden fire. It just helps to work with that field, the electromagnetic field, all the energy fields around your body, brings you more into the heart space, and just brings that energy of the golden fire and the regeneration into your field. So passively using these is a phenomenal way to use the Shaman's Wand. So in an active sense, we can use the Shaman's Wand to run energy. Simply holding the tool in one of your hands. Usually I'll suggest using your left palm to run the energy onto it, just to feel that energy, because a lot of people can feel with that left better. If you feel with the right, doesn't matter. Just try it on one of your palms. And you're just making circles or figure eights, doesn't matter the direction. Just get really close, you don't have to touch. Now, as you're making that circle, and you can begin to feel that, some people feel it as like maybe a throbbing of energy, or a heat, or a coolness. However it is that you feel it, you just sit there and you're wanding until you do feel it. And then move back away from the palm and see if you still feel it. And then move your palm completely out of there, but you're still having the intention that you are running that energy into the palm. And that is a great exercise to begin to realize how we can do this with distance work. Because if we can picture a part of our body, like, let's see, I had the fascia, plantar's fascia, or whatever that is, where the fascia within your feet, and it makes your heels sore. One night I was laying in bed, I just was sitting here just going like this. I wasn't pointing it at my heel, but I was intending that that energy goes to my heel. Sitting there wanding it, I could feel it in my heel. 30 seconds later, cramps went away, felt great. It's actually been pretty good ever since. So that's the way you can run the energy through distance. Another great experiment to working with the Shaman's Wand for just simply running energy is to pick a plant or an animal that, like, let's say your favorite chicken is what I use sometimes as a something that you can see and to compare to others in a change. So if you have a row of plants, try that. There's some in a park. Just pick out a specific plant and just go for a few days and just visualize, pretend that you are running energy into that plant. You're sitting at home, you're running energy into it. You only have to do it for a few seconds, 2 minutes, very tops is all you ever need to use this wand. So do that once a day for like a week, and then just take a look and see if you notice any shifts out there in the physical. It's just another way to help us realize the profundity of doing this energy work, doing it at a distance. And you can take that a step back farther, because when we do energy work, not only are we transcending space, we can transcend time. So maybe you want to play with that in that experiment too. You go back to the egg, or you go back to the seed. or when that plant was very first planted into that ground where it's at, and visualize it at that time. You're running energy into it then, all the way through its life cycle up until right now. And then just go out and see how things start to shift. Very fun exercise. Let's see. So those are some ways that we can use the wand in a passive sense, and again, or I'm sorry, in an active sense as running energy. So one of the most profound ways to use the wand, though, is still to use it to create a field around something. So with these regeneration tools, you know, kind of like the harmonic creation field trio, if you've read about that, where once we create this field, or that trio of rings creates a field on its own, we can create it with this. When we create that field, it is clearing miscreations. And so miscreations would be something that we have created within our lifetime from here. Maybe it was something that was part of our growth. Maybe it wasn't, but we've created from here. So let's say I had a hiatal hernia, which is where the stomach flips upside down. I was dealing with that for 2.5 years, and it all started out with emotion. So it was always something emotional that caused that stomach to herniate, to flip. And we could never keep it down for a very long time. So I was laying in bed right after the shaman's wand came through, and I was just wanding that spot. So actually, I was just sitting back and I was just using the wand, but I was visualizing that energy went around my stomach, that it went around the situation, the emotions, everything. So a step back, when we do this work, we need to be in the heart space. We don't want to start from up here, especially if we're doing work on something that we have an emotional attachment to, or we have a mental attachment to an outcome of how it should be, which is usually emotional. We want to step into the heart space, because that is where we are the creator. So the tools themselves, these guys will want to pull you into the heart space anyway, but we still need to take those 3 breaths. So we take in that breath from the earth, bring that up into our heart. That breath from source, creator, God, soul, bringing that into the heart. And that 3rd breath of bringing both those energies together within the heart, mixing that with you. At that time, you've moved your consciousness from the head into the heart. You are grounded. You are connected. You are that column of light. So as you're in the heart space, that is where we do the work. So when I was working on that hiatal hernia, I laid down, went into the heart space. I was visualizing this field being created. I was actually just wanding at the time around the stomach, around the emotions, just everything associated. Not trying to fix it, not being worried, none of that kind of stuff. Simply running the energy to it. And it created like this bubble, this field around that hiatal hernia. And then at that time, it would, and you only do it for 2 minutes at the maximum. I only did mine for about 40 seconds. And after I was done with that, I went to look at it and it was gone. And it's like I went back to try to find it, and I could not find that it was ever in existence in the first place. It just cleared that creation. So that's what it is for us to be stepping into this whole new paradigm of being creators, is we are clearing the miscreations. So that's something that we can do with these tools as well. So when you just keep the shaman's wand in your field, it's going to be raising your frequency and vibration. It's going to be assisting in doing that clearing work with programs, beliefs, emotions. Again, as this stuff comes up, we just recognize it, let it go. So if you have a reaction or something like that that comes up, just wand it. Just take your shaman's wand, create a field around that, and then let it go. So the shaman's wand we can use to basically create a field around anything, whether it is a situation, an ache and a pain, an emotion, anything we can create that field around and then let it go. And that's the thing too. So if we're working on a loved one and we really want to see them healed, things like that, again, we are up here. We want to see things in a certain way, or else we're coming from fear, and in any of that stuff will collapse that field. So as part of that whole new paradigm of surrendering into our soul, going into the heart space, surrendering into the light, surrendering into knowing that there is a higher knowing, which is us. We allow that higher knowing, our higher soul self, our soul, our light, from its perspective to bring through the changes, the shifts that it can see from that perspective. So when we try to do things from here, we are limiting it. So again, we don't want to do the work from the mind. We go to the heart. So if you're working on that loved one, and that's why it's tough for a lot of people to work on their loved ones, is because their emotions get involved into it, and they have to see them healed and see everything in a certain way. So what this is stepping into a whole different way of doing things, and that we create that field around them. And this field that we are using is the golden fire, our light, this regeneration field. It's just a higher frequency field and our light that is creating that space. And so we create that space around the person, the situation, the everything. And we don't do this for more than 2 minutes, because then we get back up into the head again. So we just do this for a few seconds, 2 minutes tops, and then we just let it go. And then we just sit back and wait for those changes to occur on whatever level they're going to occur on. So it may not be the way you look or the way you perceive that it should be. So you can do it again if you want. You're welcome to do this as many times as you feel necessary, but in all reality, it only takes the one time to do the work, let it go, just surrender into that soul and allowing it to be however it is to be from that higher perspective. All right, so I think I have covered the basics of this, the using the wand in a passive sense by carrying it in your field. And so please do throw up any questions here at any time you wish. And so with the passive sense, where we're just working with it within our field, and then we can also use it to run energy, and we can also use it to create a field. All right, so we have a question from Jim. So to do shamanic journeying, is this no longer necessary because of the regeneration field regenerated by the wand? So basically, using the wand in place of shamanic journeying, yeah, you can totally use this wand as a simpler and easier way to do any of the work that we do. Because when we're doing the shamanic journeying, of course, we're going to go into that heart space, and we're going to use consciousness. And we do a lot of that journey work, consciousness journey work. But yet, even then, we're still using these fields because these fields are containing our light. Gosh, sorry, Jim. I hope I'm answering your question okay. But yes, basically to do the shamanic journey work, yeah, just take the tool with you when you do your shamanic journey work. That's probably the simplest, easiest answer, is take this energy tool when you do the work and see how things go from there. So, all right. Let's see. Any other questions coming up? Let's see. What, if anything, happens if other people touch the tools that you own? So the tools, all of the tensor tools are self-clearing. Um, Once the welds are sealed up on there and the ends are welded back together, nothing can touch these tools. Um, they're connected to their etheric templates, so they're self-clearing. So anybody can use your tools, and you don't have to worry about them receiving your stuff. You're not going to receive their junk back on it. Let's see. And Brenda asked about the new dragon wand, and is the energy very different? We're actually going to be having another webinar coming up on the dragon wand within the next month or so. And the dragon wands are very similar, because with the dragon wands, again, we're creating that field, but the dragon wands, they're made from the same frequencies. They're made from the regeneration and the golden fire, but it's just that those connect into the field where we do work with the dragons. Expand more about going back in time to create shifts. Certainly. So when we go into the heart space and we want to affect change through time, it's only an intention and a visualization if you can visualize. So let's say that we wanted to affect, let's do the chicken and the egg. Let's say we wanted to affect your favorite chicken. We go back to when it was the egg. We go back to before it was even came out of the mother chicken. We create that field around it. We just intend that that field stays throughout its entire cycle up until now. And that's work that we do for ourselves too, is that you can go back to yourself when you've had a traumatic experience, like as a child. If you remember and know of that time, you just visualize being in that time and space. You're just making the field around you. We're not trying to fix, we're just going there from the heart space and just creating the field and letting it go. So doing the work through time is nothing more than being in the heart space, having the intention. Let's see, Tammy, we hear our pineal gland gets debris. So some of the tools are piezo energy, are pineals as well. The tools clear the debris from the pineal center pineal gland. Yes, you know, we can do that work with the pineal too. And so that's a fun one as well. So if you know the pineal gland, it's just that little nub that's right in the middle of the brain. And just sit here and wand it. And again, we don't have to point it right at the pineal or, you know, get worried in the head about, okay, is this the right spot? We can just sit here and wand it and intend that that is the pineal, running energy into that pineal. And again, the work that we do with the shaman's wand is not, excuse me, the work we do with the shaman's wand, we're not trying to have that intended outcome or anything. We're just creating the field around it and letting it go, allowing that higher perspective to take hold. So when we do that work around the pineal, we're just creating a field around it and let it go. You can intend that that field stays there too, because when we're doing that work, we have a soft intention. So everything truly is intention. But when we're doing the work, we don't want a hard intention. That's why I'm trying to stay away from, on explaining this, is not to have a hard intention of how it looks. When we're sitting there and we're wanding the pineal, we already have an intention. We have that intention that we're decalcifying, decrusting, expanding, activating the pineal. Those are just our intentions in general, and we're doing that. So it is an intention. It's just not a hard intention. Is there a limit to how many areas on a person that can be energized in a day? So with the tensor fields, you can never get too much of the tensor fields, because it is the higher soul self that acts as the filter for what comes through. So 99% of the people never have detoxes, things like that. But if you're starting to work with a shaman's wand with some of these higher frequency tools like the regeneration, you do need to stay hydrated, because when you're doing this work, We are doing clearing and releasing on a cellular level. And so on that level is what is the physical anchor for the energetic stuff we're getting rid of. So as we are clearing everything on the energetic level all the way down to the cell, then we're going to need to flush. So be sure to drink your water if you're using the tools a lot. You can sleep within a ring and never have to worry about that. But when you're sitting here actively using it, just answering Brenda's question here, yeah, please just drink a lot of water, but you can do as much energy work as you can do, and you'll be okay. Diana, new with using the tools, when you say intention, can it be generic? Example, working with the belly, do I place the intention for optimum digestion? Okay, so having those generic intentions. So when you're trying to work with that stomach, the digestive system, everything, that really is part of this whole new paradigm of we can have those soft intentions of, hey, I'm wanting my belly area and I want something great to happen. You know, that's about as hard of an intention as you want to go. You want to just basically go into the heart, taking those 3 breaths, creating a field around something, and letting it go. Again, you don't need to wand that area for more than 2 minutes, because once you start to wand it for, up to 2 minutes, you start to get back up into the mind again. And then it's not going to take as well. So we want to stay out of it as much as we can and surrender in to that higher self when we're doing that work. So, so again, like with that hiatal hernia that I had, I wasn't trying to flip my stomach back under. I wasn't trying to clear the emotional stuff. I was just laying down, running energy, not even thinking about it. All I knew was I was just running energy to the whole stomach area. And that's really when it worked the best, is when I wasn't right there focusing on what I was trying to do. And that's why these tools work so well when we're asleep at night, is because then it takes us more out of the equation unless these things happen better. Christine, can we sleep with the wand under the pillow? Perfect. So how can it enhance our dream state, etc.? Can we do something for the dream state? So with the, so I never remembered my dreams up through my 20s and 30s until I started to make these tools. And then it's like it cleared something to where I could start to remember dreams again. A lot of people do talk about how dreams can be a different thing. For some people, going through dreams and weird things happening is a way of them doing clearing work for lifetimes, and clearing work for other soul aspects. So a lot of times when you're having dreams and you're using the tools and funny things come up, just know that it could be something that was beneficial because it was doing the clearing work. As far as sleeping with these guys under the pillow, yeah, using especially the golden fire part of the wands, that golden fire field that comes through is a fantastic one for sleeping at night, because it's going to create that field around you. It's going to create that field to where, you're not being bothered by electromagnetics, thought forms, all the other weird stuff that's coming in. It's going to create a clean, safe sleeping space for you. Question replay. What gauge wire do you recommend for tool making? Well, all the tools are made with different gauges. That would be a whole topic on tool making. Generally, for the gauge of wire, the thicker the gauge, the more people feel it on the physical. But yet it doesn't matter what gauge of wire you use, because the tensor field isn't determined by the gauge of wire. The tensor field will always be there. It'll be just as potent as the thicker and the thinner. Let's see. Can the wand be used to write healing codes over people, animals, etc., or should it be used to run energy or create a field? Well, and that's the thing. So Diana asked that question, using the wand to, make the healing codes and everything. Please use these tools however you are drawn to use them. That is the number one reason that we were told, basically felt to never put out an instruction manual with the tools, is because we don't want to limit them, because there's no wrong way to use the tensor tools. You cannot do harm with them. So what works for you and what you are drawn to do with them, please do that. Yes. Let's see. So Jim's asking about ever situations to use a hard intention. To me, when you go into something and you're using a hard intention, you're doing it from the human. You're doing it the way you want it to look from here. And so when we can, part of this whole new paradigm is going into the heart, using these tools to be more clear and connected, bringing in our light more, and surrendering into our light, surrendering into our soul. Because as we bring more light in and we can trust and surrender to that higher perspective that our soul brings, that's where magic and miracles are, is up here. Magic and miracles don't occur from right here in this physicality. Magic and miracles occur up here first, because everything is energy, comes down in frequency and vibration till it becomes here. So, when you talk to healers, things like that, energy healers, we all work on energy first before it comes into the physical. Just like cancer, found in those emotional bodies, found outside, it comes more and more, drops down into frequency and vibration till it's within the physical. So hard intentions to me is the ego more than it is the soul and the heart. Let's see. First webinar. Tammy, I'm glad you love the tools, the generator. Yeah, this is pretty phenomenal energy. Tammy was just remarking, about the energy of her tools. And I tell you, we are blown away every day by these tools. And the reason that we're doing the Shaman's Wand is one of the more first of the tools that we're doing. We did the golden fire and light rods last week, is because the Shaman's Wand really is a powerful tool, and we don't fully know how to use this guy. I mean, because everybody's going to be using it differently, and that's it, is we don't want to limit anybody on their use, but we want to try to start to get you out there and experiment and play. So some of the things that I was giving you as ways that you can start playing with these tools, please start doing that, because they're very intuitive, and they're intuitive because it is bringing our higher soul self more in. So yeah, please do. Can intention be brought forth by light language? Do the tools respond to light language? So that was a question there from Carol. Yeah, so the tools will help us, because if you're working with a light language, the tools can totally help with that, because the tools are helping us to open up more to our higher soul self. And they're making sure that what comes in is a clean and clear channel. Because a lot of times when people start bringing in all these different things, they bring in from over here and over here and over here. I just don't trust those things a lot of times. I like to go with what comes through from my soul when we're in the heart space, though. So that's it too. So whatever it is that you're working with, whether it's a guide or light language or whatever it is, when you're in the heart space, that is the field that you're playing within. So if you can stay in the heart space for whatever that bigger work out there you're doing, then you're only going to be bringing through what is within that frequency and vibration. So when we begin to do any of that channeling work and bringing other things in, and we're here and not here, that's a whole different frequency, and we're connecting to whole different things. The pineal is that antenna, but we have to have the heart with the sight to be able to bring in things that are within that frequency and vibration. Then you can totally trust them. Hopefully that kind of answers the question, Carol. Do the tools work with other energy devices, or is there conflict? No, the tensor fields work fantastic with all energies, whether it's radionics or whether it's orgone, frequency emitters, crystals. If there's certain things that are non-beneficial, like maybe you have a piece of orgone that's, kind of funky, but it's producing some good frequencies. Basically, when you use a tensor tool with it, it will harmonize everything to where it is producing a beneficial frequency, and it creates a field to where those things can be amplified more. So when you're working with other energy tools or crystals, things like that, it creates that field that harmonizes everything within the field. So like a crystal, crystals love the tensor tools. So you can take a crystal and you can wand it. That's a way you can clean and clear the crystal, and it activates the crystal, it connects it, and try it with your crystals and try it with some other energy tools, and just wand them and create that field with them, and then see how they feel. I think you'll be really blown away by how it changes the frequency and vibration of crystals. Cool, Carol, thank you. Because light language, and Carol was just saying light language is heart-centered. Thank you, because I'm definitely don't know enough about light language. So that was my only thought was, just whatever you're tuning into, make sure that your frequency dial is tuned in right to whatever you're tuning into, and then you can trust it all. So thank you, Carol. All right. So like I say, please play. It's experimenting. You can't do anything wrong with these tools. If you're doing work with other people, with the environment, whatever it is, as long as you're in the heart space, you're sitting here, you're creating those fields, you're running the energy, you cannot do any harm. It's not going to violate the free will of anybody. It's not going to make shifts and changes that are not in the highest and best good. So, it's kind of one of those things where it used to be when we're doing energy work with another person, we were always working from here to here. We always had to ask permissions. When we do the work from these fields and we're creating the fields, we're basically working with their soul, from our soul, from the heart space. So when we go to do work with situations, people, whatever it is, we're just creating that bubble around them, and we let it go. And that's going to bring in their light. That's between them and their soul, what occurs with those shifts. Slim Sperling tools, can they work together? Yes, totally, Brenda. If you have any of the older tools, even the ones that we created or Slim Sperling, they're creating that tensor field. So they'll still have that tensor field. So you can get one of Slim's old 144 megahertz rings, and you can sit your shaman's wand inside of there. Now that great big ring is creating a carrier wave for the energy of the shaman's wand. So again, they just all harmonize together that way. All right. And awesome. Thanks, Kathy. Yes, the webinars, this is our first on this platform. Really loving this platform here, so much better than Zoom. We're going to do a lot more webinars, so do please keep an eye on that page of Twistedsage.com. Under resources, you'll find webinars. Once you sign up for this one, we'll also be placing it on YouTube and on the product page. So once you sign up, you'll always receive notification when we're going to be doing future webinars, and then you'll get a copy of that as well. So, Carla, do you have to keep the tools on your body at all time? No, you you certainly don't have to keep the tools on your body at all times. Now, the tools are basically, we've always called them training wheels. They are there to help us learn how to do this work, and they're simply tools. That's why we call them tools. So basically, we want to get people to the point to where we do this work through consciousness, through the heart space, without having to use the physical tools. That's really what the answer to anything is consciousness. These are training wheels. So, yeah, let's see. As for what else the Dragon Wand may do, missed last week's generator. So let's see, just making sure. And again, we'll be covering the Dragon Wand here coming up soon. So the Dragon Wand is very similar to the Shaman's Wand. It just creates a slightly different field, which we'll be going into that whole attunement as well. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much. Let's see, one more question popped up. Shaman's Wand assists with manifestation, or is it more of a clearing tool and the heart space tool? Okay, so manifesting to me is that we are infinitely abundant and that we create blockages to infinite abundance. So clearing blockages, clearing programs, beliefs, that's all part of manifesting and becoming abundant. So we are powerful, powerful creators, and we manifest all the time. It's just that a lot of times we've been manifesting out of fear, out of necessity, out of lack. That's where we've been coming from. It's part of that whole thing of moving into the heart and then creating within the field, space, frequency of that which we want to create, which is that higher creation, not out of lack, need, necessity. When we create from here, infinite abundance, manifestation. And then when we start to manifest things that are much more appropriate. So the part of the Shaman's Wand is clearing those miscreations, those mismanifestations. So, all right. Awesome, you guys. Thank you. All right. We'll see you guys next webinar. Take care. Have fun. Play.